Hey y'all, Southern Style Gaming here, and today I want to talk about a topic that's a little lighter than last week. So today I want to talk about something really simple. It's just backing into parking spaces. Now, this has actually been a bit of a hot debate, it seems like, for the last couple years that I've seen on social media. It seems like a really silly thing to argue about, but I've actually seen a lot of people on both sides, like, viciously arguing about backing into parking spaces. I mean, it really seems silly, but I guess I'll just make a video about it because it's a topic that I wouldn't say I feel strongly about, because personally, I don't care if you back into parking spaces or not. I think that either way, as long as you're a good driver and you're aware of your surroundings, you don't really have anything to worry about. But what I will say is that personally, I do back into parking spaces most of the time. Now, I think there's a few good reasons for this. The number one reason is that if your car dies, if you're backed into a parking space versus, facing, the sidewalk or, another car, depending on where you're parked, whether it's like a Walmart parking lot or you're parked on like a town square or something like that, it just makes it a lot easier if your car dies for someone to jump you off if you're facing, the roadway. So I think there's that. But for some reason, it seems like the argument has been from the people that are so vehemently against backing into parking spaces. They seem to actually make some kind of arrogance argument out of it, and it makes very little sense to me. Like, just because I'm backing into a parking space doesn't mean that, I think I'm better than anybody else in any way. For one, the reason I do it is because I work for the post office. And if you are a mail carrier, it is drilled in your head from day one that if at all possible, you back into a parking space. You do not pull forward. And the reason for that is quite simple. There are more variables backing out than there are backing in. I think it's a really simple concept. For some reason, some people just seem to have such a problem with it. And, that's, I guess, my second reason for backing into a parking space versus just pulling straight in. And the third reason is one that you'll often hear from, like, emergency services, or, like, especially police officers. So if a situation gets hairy somewhere, or say that, you've just got, like, a couple of paramedics or something stopped on, like, a lunch break, and they get a call and they gotta leave really fast, it's a lot easier for them to pull straight out instead of having to back out on a potentially busy street. Same thing goes for police officers. If there's some sort of emergency and they got to get out to their car and they got to get out as fast as possible, that's going to be the easiest way for them to be able to efficiently do their job, is to back into the spot. Now, this is the one that I actually typically hear the backing naysayers say is an exception. But I still kind of don't understand this, because I so often hear people say that, backing into parking spaces is more of a danger. And I really don't understand this for a few reasons. One, backup cameras are relatively common these days. I'm not saying every car has them. I don't even know if half the cars on the road have them. But I mean, a good amount of cars do. And I'm not talking about expensive cars either. Like my old Sienna that just got wrecked, that I bought on a mail carrier salary, had a backup camera. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't even like a 3-inch screen. It was just like set up into the dash. It wasn't like one of those giant things. But it had a backup camera. I mean, even on older cars, like, you can go on to like Crutchfield and get those Boss radios and just wire a backup camera. It'll hook to your license plate bracket, and you can wire it. They send, you get a radio. It's aftermarket, but still, it fits in most vehicles. I don't understand why it's so hard for people to, like, not, Now, I don't understand why so many people are upset about people backing up. Like, I don't care if people don't want to do it, because like I said, if you're just aware of your surroundings, generally people are okay. But I don't understand what the deal is with the anger. Like, that's just my big thing about it. Like, I don't understand why it has to be such a vicious argument. So, I mean, that's really all I've got to say about it. Like I said, quick video this week. It's been a really busy week. It's already Wednesday. Normally, I have these things recorded by Monday. And, I don't have a whole lot of free time, but what free time I do have, I usually use to record this. And like I said, I usually have it recorded by Monday. But, things are a little bit tighter this week. We've had some car troubles. Weather's been really bad. Work's been a little heavier. It's just generally been kind of a tough time. But overall, like I said, shorter video this week. Easy topic, very lightweight. Weigh in the comments. Are you someone who backs into parking spaces? Are you someone who pulls forward into parking spaces? Do you care how other people pull into parking spaces or not? Because, I don't care one way or the other. I personally back into parking spaces if I can. And a side note, no, I will pull straight into a parking space if I'm, in a Walmart parking lot and there's, a line of cars behind me. I'm not going to be the douchebag to make people wait, 30 seconds or, well, not even 30 seconds, maybe 15 seconds while I'm lining up my way to back in, because Walmart is a lot more difficult because you have to swing kind of sharp to back into those spaces. But most of the time you don't have a line of cars behind you, because I guess a post point here, because I meant to mention this earlier, but I guess it just slipped my mind. A lot of people have also argued that, when you're in a Walmart parking lot or something, that, it's kind of a douchebag move to have people waiting behind you to wait for you to back in. Most of the time, that's not really the situation. I mean, most of the time, you're in, say, a Dollar General parking lot. You're not going to have, 5 cars behind you in a Dollar General parking lot. You're not going to have 5 cars behind you at a convenience store. It's not like that. These are very limited situations that people are getting upset about. And maybe it's just because I don't live in a major city. Maybe backing into parking spaces in a major city really is a nuisance. But, most people don't live in major cities, believe it or not. Most people live in relatively small town America. That's just how I feel about it. I don't really think it's a big deal one way or the other. Just be aware of your surroundings out there. Be careful, whether you pull into parking spaces or back into them. And yeah, just like I said, put in the comments, do you pull forward? Do you back in? Do you really care about how other people do it or not? And that's pretty much all I got for you today. So everyone, like I said, just have a good day and God bless.